Alright, what's going on everyone? We are going to be upgrading the final starter deck. We're going to be upgrading Stormoblade. So if you want to upgrade this, select it, click the clone option down here. This will add a clone to your decks, like so. You can click this, then either click right here on this bar, or if you are on this screen, click on the deck box and switch this over to standard. So, what is this deck? It's interesting. It's sort of a tribal samurai deck, sort of. I say sort of because, there's samurai. Here's one here. Here's one here. Here's a samurai. There's some samurai up here. But it's also a modified matters type of thing. We have Goro, which is a samurai that cares about having modifications. We have equipment that helps modify lots of equipment. This can put a counter on stuff, we got more equipment, so it's sort of a modifies matters samurai deck. So my big issue with this is just, I don't think samurai are that good. They're fine, I mean they're fun. If you want to play samurai, you can play samurai, but they're not competitive at all. But on the plus side, if you want to play samurai, there's plenty of deck lists. You can find them all over the internet. Just look at standard samurai decks. Plenty of resources for you to look into more samurai decks. But we're going to do our best. We're going to use mostly commons and uncommons, and we're going to try to make this deck just a little bit more consistent. So we can start by taking out Kumano faces Kakazan, however this is pronounced. So this is fine, but it doesn't really work with this deck. The flip side isn't a samurai, it's a shaman. This is an excellent card in standard. It's an excellent card in explorer. Lots of mono red aggro decks play this, so this is not a bad card at all. I just think it waters down the deck. We need more samurai. I mean, if we look at the creature count, we only have 20 creatures in a tribal deck. We only have 14 samurai. That's very low. That is very low for a tribal deck. So we really just need to fix that. And we could do that by taking out one of these for one reinforced Ronin. So this card's fine. 1 mana 2/2 haste is pretty good. It does get bounced to our hand at end of turn, so that's a problem. But the good news is in the late game you can discard it, draw a card, and most importantly it's another samurai, and it's kind of what we're doing. So there's still an issue with just not having enough creatures in the deck. So even though this is excellent, it's just so hard to get that counter, that +1/+1 counter. So I don't know if it's really worth it. I'd rather just take out 2 of these and replace them with 2 rabbit batteries. So this is a creature, just a 1 mana 1/1 haste right away, but then it can be equipped. And that's very important for this deck, because the way this deck works is typically we want a board full of samurai, right? We want all these samurai that we see, but we only attack with 1 of them. So ideally we, whatever samurai we're attacking with, let's say we're attacking with this, we want to load tons of equipment on it just to make this thing absolutely massive. So just a creature that also equips is nice. Next we need more samurai. So this card is awesome. It's a 2 mana 1/1 double strike, which is fine, but then it's an enchantment that gives the creature double strike. It's pretty cool, but we have to increase our samurai count. So I'm going to take this out because it's not a samurai, it is a spirit warrior, which this does count warriors, but I don't want it. I want more samurai. So I want to take this out and I want to replace it with selfless samurai. This card is amazing. First off, whenever we attack alone with the samurai, it gains a lifelink, and that is huge for this deck because we're putting so much equipment, right? We have this equipment, we have this equipment, we have this equipment, this pumps. We have so many ways to make whatever samurai is attacking huge that the lifelink is massive, and then we can sacrifice it to give another creature indestructible, meaning if we're attacking with another creature and it gets hit with a removal spell with all of our equipment on it, we can sacrifice this, protect that one important creature, because that's what this deck is doing. It's building up one big important creature. It's loading one creature with all the equipment and all the counters and just everything, and then hoping it doesn't die, and this really helps with that. So because of that, I also want to take out this Sacred Fire for another Selfless Samurai. So this is a really good card. It's pretty good. I don't mind this at all. 2 mana, deals 2 damage, you gain 2 life. Very good in like Boros burn decks. Not a bad card. You have one on your account. It's definitely very playable. But again, I want to increase creature count. I want to increase samurai count. And this one is very good. Gives us a ton of life and also protects our one big important creature. So 1 Sacred Fire out, one Selfless Samurai in. And this is a common theme in this deck, and this upgrade, is I want to take out all these spells and just get more creatures and more samurais, because we're supposed to be a tribal samurai deck, and we don't have enough samurai at all, so we're going to keep fixing that. We can take out this card as well. This is a Fox Ninja. It's not even a warrior. We're a samurai deck, but also kind of a warrior deck, but we're definitely not a ninja deck. And this is cool because it has double strike, right? So you can load all this equipment like this and this and this onto it, and the double strike is huge. But it doesn't matter because we need more samurais. We just need more. We need more samurais. So I want to replace this with Imperial Subduer. 3 mana, 3/2. Whenever a samurai or warrior attacks alone, tap a creature. That's awesome. It allows us to attack without having to worry about blockers. Definitely better than this. This is cool. Very cool. Could definitely go in like just an all-in equipment deck that doesn't care about samurai. But this is a samurai. It taps down blockers and lets us sort of beat face. So I want one of these, and I want to take this out so we can have just more samurais, because holy crap, this deck did not have enough samurai. And a free upgrade. Continuing to cut the spells down for more relevant stuff, Valorous Stance is good. I took this out of one of the other decks, and I want to make clear that this is a good card. It can protect a creature. That's the big thing, is being able to protect a creature, but we have that now with this, and also it's a samurai, and the removal is good too, but if you're going to play removal, there's better removal. But this card's fine. I don't think this card's bad at all, but it's not as good as Elspeth, which was in another deck. So this does one very important thing. It pluses to put counters on stuff, so it helps with the sort of modification matters type of stuff. It gives a flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance, and it's a counter, not a one turn thing. You don't plus this and give a creature first strike until end of turn. You plus it and give it a first strike counter. So we're going to add one of these. We're going to take out that one copy of Valorous Stance, and we need to continue to cut spells for samurai and equipment. So this other Valorous Stance is going to go. I think it's a fine card, but it's not a samurai, and we need more samurai. So I'm going to cut one of these. Why did that not work? I'm going to cut one of those for an Igonjo Exemplar. Now, is this card good? It's fine. Whenever a samurai or warrior attacks alone, it gets +1/+1. It's fine. Remember, if you play this on turn 2 and attack with it on turn 3, it's a 2 mana 3/2 because it's going to pump itself, right? It's an important thing to remember with all these samurais. They pump themselves when they're attacking alone. And yeah, we just need more of them. We need more of them to get more abilities when we're attacking. Which is why we're going to take out one Kami's Flare. This is one of the Modification Matters cards. It's fine, but we need more samurai. So I'm going to cut one for one more of these Imperial Subduers. Just trying to increase the samurai count. At this point, we're at 26 creatures. We started with 20. We have 20 samurai. We started with, what was it, 14 or something? So much better. Much better. And I want to get more of these ancestral katanas in. These are pretty cool. 2 mana, and when we attack with a samurai alone, we can equip it for only 1 mana, so it's actually very good. So I think we could cut out 1 Play with Fire. We're still going to have 2 Play with Fire, so I think that's fine. But I want to cut 1 for another one of these ancestral katanas. And I want to cut this. This is fine. It's another creature that equips, but the reconfigure is a little too expensive. It's a 1 mana 1/1. It doesn't have haste like Rabbit Battery. And the ability's cool, but for 2, I'd rather just cut this and have 1 more ancestral katana. I just think this is way more efficient. The amount of power we get with a couple of these, plus the pumping and stuff, it adds up pretty quick. So I just rather have that over the monkey. And one final free upgrade is we can take out 1 Plains. I think this is fine. For 1 copy of Thundering Raiju. This was in one of the other decks, so this is free. It is not a samurai, but it whenever it attacks, we put a +1/+1 counter on something, so that's awesome. And then it will deal X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of modified creatures we control. That's actually very relevant, even if we're only attacking with 1 creature, because what it means is if we have a bunch of samurai out, we have the option of attacking with like 1 samurai and getting all the boosts, Or if we have like 4 or 5, Thundering Raiju suddenly makes it much more viable to just swing all, and we can sometimes win games when we jam this down. It has haste, and suddenly we push a bunch of damage through, because we have a lot of ways to modify creatures. Remember, this adds counters, this adds counters. We have 4 pieces of equipment here, 1 here, 3 here. So we have a lot of ways to modify creatures, and I actually think this is very relevant, and a lot of times, Tribal Samurai decks will actually play like 2 or 3 of these, just because they're so good at equipping and modifying themselves. So yeah, it's not bad. And it's free. So that's going to have to be good enough, I think, for the budget build. Is this perfect? There's just not a ton of samurai. I mean, if we even just look, these are all the samurai in existence. And this is the major problem with the deck, is there's just not really a lot. These two, this and what's the other one? These, they care about artifacts and enchantments. The artifact one's okay, because we do have a lot of equipment, but it doesn't always get blown up that much, so these two are not that great. We're playing these. This doesn't do too much, not super excited for this. A lot of these are pretty mediocre. Goro's fine, we could probably play another Goro, but really, there's just not a lot of, I mean, Ishin would be great, but that requires us to splash another color. We're definitely not doing that for a budget deck. Budget starter build is to include an entirely different color and rebuild the mana base. But Ishin's awesome, but just can't play it in boros. So there's just not a ton of samurai. We could play warriors too. An important note. The thing about warriors is, even though there's a ton, important note is that some of them are rotating. These are the ones that aren't rotating. And we still get some decent ones, but nothing that I'm like super excited for. I mean, honestly, there's even warriors, there's not too much. Maybe we could play this. I don't know if it's that good, but yeah, there's just not much going on for samurais right now. If you want to build this out for a non-budget build, a lot of decks play like 2 to 3 copies of Raiju. But yeah, there's just not too much we can do with samurai. I think this is definitely much better. I'm not spending any rares on this because I don't think it's worth spending rare wild cards on samurai when samurai aren't a competitive archetype, and there aren't any samurai rares that are worth crafting that are good for other decks. Like in some of the other decks, I encouraged people to craft rares, but that's because they were so good, they're usable in other decks. But the tribal samurai aren't good. Like, this isn't going to be good in any other deck except for tribal samurai and warriors. So it's like, yeah, I would just keep this at a budget for now. Maybe tribal warriors will be good in like Dominaria United or something, or sometime soon, and then that will completely change how I feel about this deck. But as it is, what we've done will definitely make it much better. I mean, we have 20 samurai now. We have 26 creatures now. We have way more ways to just, do what we're supposed to do. We have more ways to get creatures in. We have more ways to equip them. We have less filler. Deck's definitely better, but I would be weary of spending too many rares on this particular deck, in my opinion. But of course, if you really like it, I encourage you to look up tribal, standard, samurai decks. There are plenty of lists out there to look over and use that to upgrade this further if you are interested in spending the rare wildcards on it. But as it is, if you've been playing this deck, these upgrades will definitely make it much more consistent. It'll do what it does much more frequently, should feel much better, and I think that's still an improvement, and we didn't spend a single rare wildcard, and that's important. So there you go. Hopefully that's helpful. We are done with starter deck upgrades. If you want to see the other videos, I do have a playlist dedicated to the starter deck videos, so you can find that in the description below. Check that out. I'll also leave the deck list, the finished deck list. Hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.